Out of the gates and ready to go. It's Hot Mike cutting it with Rome from OutKick.com. Special NFL Draft Round 1 recap live right here on YouTube, the OutKick Hot Mike YouTube channel. Glad you're with us. Join us in the chat live as we broadcast live from 6th and Peabody with Yeehaw Beer and Old Smoky Moonshine. It's going to be a great afternoon. Chad, good afternoon.
Hutton, good afternoon. Exciting times.
It was a fun night.
What a time to be alive.
With the draft and some former Titans players reacting live.
Yep.
Our guest today, Jared Stillman from Stillman & Company, he had great coverage as well.
Yep.
He'll be with us here on site.
Jared had the same reaction that most of the former Titans had when Carnell Tate was the pick at number 4, which was complete and utter shock, which was my reaction too.
Okay, so I guess let's get into the winners and losers. Are you naming Tennessee as one of these categories?
Yeah. Unfortunately for Titans fans, they're the loser of the first round of the draft. My winner and loser, and I'll start with the loser, is not because the Titans went with Carnell Tate.
Yeah.
Philosophically, I love the idea of we're going to go and get our number 1 receiver. This was our most highly valued receiver in the draft. We're going to get someone to help Cam Ward with the number 1 pick, someone who can be that number 1 receiver, right? I'm fine with all that. But they're a loser in this because Jeremiah Love went 3rd to the Cardinals, who I think they probably would have drafted had he been there at number 4, and I think was the better pick because he's the more surefire player and prospect. And I also think this is not a knock at Keldrick Falk with the 31st pick. But the idea was with the picks the Titans had, maybe you can go and get 3 starters in this draft for a team with so many different needs. The thought was to trade back to get more draft picks, to get more possible starters for this team. Instead, you trade up and you get a guy who had 2 sacks last year, had 10 sacks over 38 games in his career. Now, I know he's getting double teams and sacks aren't the end-all be-all, but Hutton, if you were trading up to get a guy, you're getting a guy who's getting the quarterback and bringing him down. I'm not drafting a guy because of hurries.
Right.
So I don't really understand that. Again, I think the Titans have direction with Mike Borgonzi. I think they have a vision. They know what they want. They went and got it. So I cannot fault them for that. But if I'm picking a clear loser in the first round, it's the Titans.
They are clearly 100% in with Cam Ward.
Yes.
They are giving him the assets that will allow him to either prove himself or disprove his number 1 overall status.
Yeah. My winner, I want to get to that too.
Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Because this is a team that very rarely wins, the New York Jets.
Wow.
And you can play this back years from now, and I'll probably look like a complete idiot because I'm one of many people who every year give the Jets high marks for their draft picks, and they never seem to pan out. I love David Bailey. I love the production of getting to the quarterback. I know he's weak against the run, but I love that pick for the Jets. I love that they went and got Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end from Oregon, who's more like a jumbo wide receiver.
Yeah.
Who is a playmaking guy there, and they needed the receiver, and they were still able to get Omar Cooper Jr., who was uber productive at Indiana, a winner on a national championship team, and to get him with those 3 picks, that's what you would hope for a team like the Titans. That could be building blocks to what's next for the Jets. And I'm going with the color green as a big winner because I think the Eagles trading up ahead of the Steelers, who were likely set to draft Mekhi Lemon, who said, I'm on the phone with Pittsburgh, and then I'm getting a call from Philadelphia. What's this? Oh, they traded ahead in front of their in-state rival in Pennsylvania, and they got A.J. Brown's replacement.
Yeah.
Knowing A.J. Brown's about to get dealt. That was a winning move by a winning organization. Eagles, winner. Jets,
Green.
Historic loser.
Yeah.
But on night 1 of the draft, Hutton, I think both are winners.
Chad, my big winner is Ty Simpson, because he gets to go and play in the Los Angeles Rams franchise.
Yeah.
He avoided Arizona. He avoided New Orleans. He avoids Cleveland or anywhere else that you just go to NFL purgatory. And he bet on himself. He claims he could make $6.5 million had he stayed in college and gone to Miami. He's getting top 15 money now. And, I mean, I view this as we'll get to this in a second, but this is the general manager wanting the pick. The backstory here, Les Snead and his father, Simpson's father, coach,
Jason Simpson.
really close. They're tight. They called Les Snead to ask about his opinion on whether or not Ty Simpson should go pro. and they've been tight for several years now. So the fact that Les Snead ends up being the general manager who drafts Ty Simpson, not trading back and drafting him in the back of the first round, we're talking like where you need the ability to go and get a proven starter. Their entire offseason in Los Angeles has been a win-now mode. And that's why they have the quarterback who won, and they have the franchise who lost this draft. Because Matthew Stafford's 38 years old. I mean, if you're not Tom Brady, we circle the age of 40. Sean McVay's got, how much money was he offered by Amazon to go and, do Thursday Night Football? The time to win is now in Los Angeles. And they didn't draft a starter. And they rarely have, a ton of picks. And in this draft, you're fortunate if you have multiple picks in the first round because the talent level it's upwards in the first round. It's the same type of draft grade for picks 35 through 75 in this draft. And the Los Angeles Rams went and got a backup quarterback, and they're also the losing answer for me because Sean McVay didn't seem to really want to go along with this pick.
Yeah, I did. I'll keep that between us. We'll see. He's going to compete with Stetson.
Yeah, this is Sean McVay, who is normally as jovial as a coach on draft day as you can find, smiling ear to ear. And instead he said, we'll just keep that in-house. We'll keep it internal about the fact that it'll be Stetson Bennett who's competing for the actual backup role with Ty Simpson. Chad's my winner and my loser.
It could turn out to be a huge winning move for the future. It's definitely a losing move for the right now.
Yeah.
For the Rams. It's also the Rams offensively, and really the Rams under McVay. You're almost shaded in this way where I always feel like it's a good move even when it's not because of the decisions they've made.
Yeah.
It is great for Ty Simpson. I mean, I cannot imagine a better draft night for him, for them to trade up and get him at number 13. Could not have ended up any better. There's a lot of talk about the Cardinals trading back and getting him later in the first round, and that could have been the avenue for maybe the Titans to get Jeremiah Love.
Yeah.
But it's a weird move because I don't see Matthew Stafford. Maybe he falls off a cliff quickly, but, I mean, that guy, the way he played last year, looks like he's got 3 or 4 more years.
I agree, but I'm saying he's closer to retirement than not.
No doubt.
And
But Ty Simpson, who had to sit a lot at Alabama, will now have to go and sit till whenever Matthew Stafford decides he's done.
Ty Simpson,
to be the starter,
I believe, has 527 pass attempts.
Yeah.
And when you look at the quarterbacks that have been drafted this century with that amount or fewer pass attempts, you can see some pretty big names, but they're quarterbacks who also run. He does not. He's not really flashy under pressure. Very spotty. He's half the season he was hurt. This is the perfect situation for him instead of having to go to New York, Arizona, or New Orleans was even considering it, but there was some talk with the Saints. One more is Jeremiah Love.
Yeah.
Jeremiah Love ends up in Arizona, a team without a future quarterback, a terrible offensive line.
You could have just ended at future.
Yeah,
a team without a future.
Without a future.
A future quarterback or a future as a team.
Bidwell as an owner.
Yeah.
And a first-year head coach, which may end up being fine. But, yeah, he's going to get paid. But, I mean, he looked like a fake smile he was putting on when he get drafted by the Arizona Cardinals, Chad.
Let me give you another
That's
loser.
the organization I wouldn't want to be drafted to.
Let me give you another loser in this draft. We had Armando on this week talking about this guy, Reuben Bain Jr. Shocked he got out of the top 10. Shocked that guy fell out of the top 10, and he's 15th to Tampa.
Yeah.
Going to a good team and stays in the state of Florida, but clearly the whole situation, the tragic situation with him, played a part in him falling. The other big loser, Jamad McCoy. Doesn't go in the first round with the injury concerns. That's no bueno.
Yep.
For a guy who was thought to be a top 10 pick when the draft process started.
There's some talk that Carson Beck goes 34 tonight. Really? Maybe so. By the way, that would be the Arizona Cardinals with that selection. Chad, the quarterback that needs to be drafted this weekend needs to be drafted. Not tonight, this weekend. It's Diego Pavia. A team would be smart to do that because he's at his best with a chip on his shoulder. And I'd rather use a 6th or 7th round pick on a player that's going to enhance my team in some way. Locker room wise, I don't want like this 50-50 coin flip of whether or not a guy's going to make the roster. I want somebody that wants to, dial up 1-800-ASS-WHIP on the practice field. Baker Mayfield comes to mind. Went to Carolina and lined up on the practice squad at defensive end because he wasn't playing. And that's what Pavi's going to bring. In the middle of November, where things are a little stale and it's just kind of generic and the veterans are kind of tired and you're 500 on the season, this guy is going to have players pissed off for greatness, wanting to whip his ass on the practice field. And I think that's great. If Mike Vrabel's coaching, that's a Mike Vrabel type practice guy. And I don't doubt him if he were to get on the field as a backup quarterback. I know the size is an issue, but we spoke with Clark Lee earlier today, and here's his former college coach saying a team would be an idiot not to bring him in just based on the intangibles.
Coach, I've said this. I want Diego Pavia on my team. I think he brings energy. I like a player with a chip on his shoulder. I think he plays like a guy in a contract year every year. Would it be foolish for a team not to draft him?
Well, listen, I certainly think so. And to me, there's layers to this. If you look at his track record in terms of the places he's played and the places he's helped win, winning a national championship at Nemi, 10 wins at New Mexico State, 10 wins here at Vanderbilt. There's obviously something about this guy that impacts environment in a way that elevates everyone, and that's undeniable. So that's the first part. The second part, in my experience with him, is the way he connects with his teammates, the way he builds relationships, the way he cares about the people in the building. I mean, this is something that every program, every organization looks for, and I think it's becoming more and more rare as we've reached this kind of era of selfishness. This guy's a really unselfish teammate, a really unselfish program member. That has had an incredible ripple here. And then finally, like you just, watching him play, like he's a guy that look at his analytics, the way he pushed the ball down the field, throws beyond the sticks, big game throws, average yards, depth of target, yards per catch. All those things to me equate to high level football performance. To me, it's a total package. And this is a guy who will never change. He'll be in the building in January and he'll have his motor running and he'll be at his competitive best. He'll be in the building in the summer, same thing. And then obviously right in the middle of the season where you need that level of push and energy, like he's going to be the same guy, bringing everyone else along with him.
I would want a player late, if it's late in the draft, who's going to come to practice every day and stir the pot a little bit, have a chip on his shoulder, want to prove someone wrong. That's him. Like, I think he's always been the underdog, and I think that benefits a team in a locker room in the middle of November. Things get a little stale. He would keep things going. You've witnessed it firsthand.
Yeah, I mean, listen, for sure. And I think we're going to trace the line back to all the conversations around him in this draft and say, where did teams miss as he ascends to a high level NFL career? And it's they spent too much time talking about his height. Like this guy's overcome that measurement his entire career. And you could make the argument, like, does his skills translate from New Mexico State to the SEC and at Vanderbilt? And he answered that with a resounding yes, and wins the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm, is a run-up for the Heisman Trophy. And the other thing too, like, look at the way he evolved and developed here as a quarterback. I mean, we went from 24, where really he put the team on his back as a physical player and a runner, and made some big plays and big moments for us this past season. We rode his arm. This is about becoming explosive as an offense, and using his weapons down the field. So there's progress being made as he's reached the back end of his college career. And again, I to your point, there's so much value in him as a pick in general because of all the things he does before he gets on the field, and then the things he'll bring on the competitive practice field when you need him. When the team's a little flat and you need someone providing a spark, he will be that spark. And beyond that, I think there's a really talented football player that in time is going to prove not only that he belongs in the NFL, but he's going to rise to a level of success there that won't surprise any of us.
More draft reaction straight ahead, plus the latest with Vrabel and Rossini.
Keeps going. Story keeps going.
Jared Stillman joins us
anytime
next
soon.
here at 6th and Peabody. 6th and Peabody, our location today. Yeehaw Beer, Old Smoky Moonshine, outside in the spacious and palatial beer garden. We should do a cheers, by the way, after the end of this.
Yeah, we should.
Segment. Jared Stillman joins us from Stillman & Company. Good to see you.
Good to be here.
Teams are always happy with their draft. Always, always.
They always get the top guy on their board.
Well,
You are never happy with the Tennessee Titans pick. Look at your reaction from last night. We're going to show it here. We've got a screenshot of it. You just pure misery.
You know, it's
this could also be Mike Vrabel after the latest photo dump with the New York Post and TMZ. That's the same exact reaction.
Jared, the Titans drafted a receiver. That's your reaction. It wasn't an offensive lineman.
so it's almost become a yearly tradition. It's like the Masters of the Titans draft, where there is going to be a pick. I just totally shocks me.
Yeah.
Last night, I woke up and I knew I was going to be a happy Titan fan, because the way I looked at it was, I'm like, okay, the Jets are going to take Bailey or Reese.
Okay.
Arizona is going to take Love or whoever the Jets don't take,
All right.
which means that Jeremiah Love or Arvell Reese or David Bailey will be there, and the Titans will take him. And so when Jeremiah Love went in 3, I said, okay, Arvell Reese. And there had been a lot of smoke about Sonny Styles, and I'd rather have Arvell Reese, but I was okay with Sonny Styles. Somebody asked me before the draft on the show, they said, okay, is there any player they could take that would cause a total meltdown? And I said, Tate. And when I do these live
Essentially
shows,
called your own shot.
when I do these live shows, I don't like pick tipping. So I turn my phone over and I just,
Yeah.
I don't want to
You
know.
don't wanna be
I don't
spoiled.
want to.
I'm the same way.
So I want to hear it from Roger Goodell's voice. So I'm watching the show, and I'm doing the show, and I'm watching the draft, and I've got Goodell in my ear, and I hear with the 4th pick, the Tennessee Titans select Carnell Tate, and I just couldn't help myself. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
That was the honest physical reaction that we saw
It-
with you.
So I've had meltdowns there. I had a meltdown on J.C. Latham because I wanted Brock Bowers. I had a meltdown on Peter Skoronski because he was a guard with the 11th pick. Every year it's like I have a meltdown. Last year was tough because Cam Ward, we all knew that they were going to take him. But every year I get my hopes up every year.
Well, here's
And
my
year-
question, because I said before, philosophically, I don't mind it if you're getting the top receiving option for your second-year quarterback. Is he the best receiving option in this draft? Is he so much better than the other options that you jump up and get him at number 4, where I know mock drafts are mock drafts.
Right.
But no one had Carnell Tate going that high in the draft.
So
Well, he was top 10, though.
Except
but
for
not top 5. Okay.
shout out to Chris Johnson, former Titan,
Oh,
who
yeah.
on Jim Wyatt's list of
CJ.
150 former players and media members that we're all a part of, he was the only one to take Carnell Tate for the Titans with that pick. The only one
That's
that
amazing.
got it right.
So, do you remember the infamous Bill Tobin, Mel Kiper Jr. incident during the draft in
Yes.
'95 with
The Colts.
yes,
Yeah.
you know, who the hell is Mel Kiper? So, Mel Kiper's one guy, and Mel Kiper's wrong. And each one of these individual guys, they're wrong all the time, just like each individual general manager's wrong. But when you have 180 draft gurus nowadays, like we have, where every network has a draft
There's 3 at this
guru,
table right now.
every single one.
By God.
Yeah.
I always look at the consensus and I'm like, all right, if you pick the 9th guy with the 8th pick, then maybe you like that guy a little bit more than somebody else. But every year the Titans take the 13th guy with the 4th pick, or the 17th guy with the 6th pick. And J.C. Latham was the same way. Everybody said, hey, Joe Alt, top of the draft. Olu Fashanu, top of the draft. J.C. Latham, 2nd tier. They took J.C. Latham 7th.
Bill Callahan.
Bill Callahan told him to do it. They made him general manager for a day, I guess. So with
He knows
Carnell Tate,
offensive linemen, Jared. Come on.
to your point, it's like they sat there and they said, you know what? Got to go receiver. And I'm like, but is he the 4th best player in the draft? And I don't think he is.
Here's why Chad and I were watching it live, and I was shocked that
Everybody
was
in
the
the room we were in was
Yeah,
shocked.
and then I thought to myself, well, look at the Ohio State wide receivers in the league. This, you know, like Jackson Smith and Jigba is the damn best receiver right now in the league.
Yeah.
Emeka Ibuka is balling down in Tampa. They produce receivers, and I don't mind a receiver who will catch the football. This guy catches the football.
Well, he catches it deep down the field, too.
And
Look at
when
his percentage of 40-plus yard touchdowns.
And, yards after catch, we can get in the weeds on it.
Yeah.
But when I say catch the football, he has a wide catch radius. The Titans right now don't have that. Cam Ward needs someone with a catch radius that, can actually snag the football out of the air because the quarterback's not accurate. Does it help Cam Ward? Yes. Does it give them a chance? I was on board with Jeremiah Love because it's offense. I can't hate on this pick. We can debate which receiver it should have been, but they had a plan to trade back up in the first round too. I don't know much about this guy they drafted.
Sure.
But my point is, I'm okay with Ohio State wide receivers.
Well, and Jared, I don't mind the smartest guy in the room if you're the smartest guy in the room.
Right.
And I feel like with Mike Borgonzi, we don't know yet. But if you're doing things that no one thinks is very unexpected and no one else sees what you're doing or why you're doing it, where you're doing it in that spot, those are what makes great organizations great at times also because they're thinking outside the box and doing things smarter than others. We just don't know yet with Borgonzi, right? So when he plays the smartest guy in the room routine, if he had proved it already, then it's like, okay, it's fine.
So I'm going to attack both of these takes here. Yours, I love those Ohio State receivers too. Mm-hmm. How many of them run a 4.5?
Well, but my point is, get someone to score some points. This team, 16 points per game?
Right, but next year when Jeremiah Smith runs the 40, I guarantee you it'll be faster than a 4.5 too.
Yeah, that's all fair.
Bill Polian used to say in Indianapolis, if you could not run faster than 4.5, they could not draft you in the top 3 rounds.
Okay, but this is first off, is Brian Dable the head coach? Because he's making all these.
Feels that way. It feels like he's the general manager.
I say this tongue in cheek, but this offense that I think that they're going to run is very quick hitting. You got to get open fast. So the 4.5, he's a good player. Is he a great player? I don't know. Again, I was stunned they went wide receiver, but I think they may draft him even if Jeremiah Love's on the board. That pick came in fast.
I think that's crazy. Again,
I think they may have done that.
Again, Bill Polian says, I'm not drafting you. And he's got a gold jacket as a Hall of Fame general manager.
Bill Polian now.
I actually do this for Bill Polian.
Yeah.
Now, then onto your front.
You mean it. You're not being sarcastic when you say Bill Polian instead of
Bill
Callahan.
I actually listen to Bill Polian.
Right.
Now, let me add one more thing. For anyone saying, we'll find out if he's a number one receiver, this dude needs to be a number one receiver, right? Like, Corey Davis should have been as well.
He has to be A.J. Brown. What A.J. Brown was for the Titans is what he has to be.
Yes.
To your point about Borgonzi.
He's got to come in and produce now, though.
To your point about Mike Borgonzi. I was listening to a show breaking down the Titans draft picks, the kind of show that Nashville really wants. And they were talking about, hey, Mike Borgonzi's done a great job, and you've got to give him credit for the players he's brought in. And not talking about last night, but just talking in general. Mike Borgonzi's been the general manager for 1 year. He inherited a 3-win team. Yep. You want to know how many more games they won in his first year? 0. So I need Mike Borgonzi to prove to me that he knows what he's doing, and by drafting a receiver that runs a 4.52 with the 4th pick, kind of tells me that he doesn't know what he's doing.
Look, I had the Titans the biggest loser of the draft of all the teams, so I mostly agree. Playing devil's advocate, though, I do think even though the win total wasn't better, his first draft class looks like it has potential, which is better than we could say about most.
It's competent.
Most draft picks, most draft classes before. Now, granted, I don't want the bar to be Rand Carthon for what the Titans are going to do. I prefer the bar to be more like Floyd Reese at his height. At his height, I'd like for it to be that, right? That's the organization you want to have. But I'm a wait-and-see guy with Tate. It felt like a loss the moment Love went to the Cardinals. That's what it felt like to me. That was the defeated moment to me, was whatever was next was not Jeremiah Love. That's how much I wanted that guy.
So when you talk about being a smarter general manager than everybody else, I look at the Seahawks last night taking Jadarian Price at 32. They basically said, we think Jadarian Price can be the replacement for Kenneth Walker. I don't know if you guys thought Jadarian Price was a top 32 player. But I'm going to give John Schneider the benefit of the doubt.
He can be the smartest guy in the room.
He proved last year, hey, I know what I'm doing. And so that I'm okay with. But Mike Borgonzi hasn't. Cam Ward, they took number 1 overall. I feel like they overdrafted a quarterback. He was dead last in pretty much every major quarterback metric. Their second-round pick last year didn't do anything. He got hurt. Their third-round pick, they drafted who was hurt, and he's hurt again. So they had a couple fourth-round receivers that had okay seasons. Not Puka seasons, but okay seasons. That's not good enough for me. Like, I need to see a better football team this year. And again, maybe Carnell Tate is A.J. Brown, but A.J. Brown ran a 4.49, not a 4.53.
I have this analogy that I've used before. I don't know that I've ever said it on air, but I know I've told it to Hutton before.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say it on air right now for the first time. I feel like if you're Leonardo DiCaprio or Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise, you get so bored with just every woman in the world wanting you and throwing themselves at you that you probably just turn to like trying to seduce 45-year-old married men. And you're like, that's all I want to do is like get that man to the point of having sex with me who's not even gay. That's what they do. That to me is Schneider saying, I'm just going to pick a backup running back in the first round because I'm so bored with making good decisions and winning the Super Bowl last year that now I'm going to go for a backup running back.
I think Jadarian Price is going to be good because everything John Schneider seems to do seems to work.
But I think it's kind of that mentality. It's like, I'm tired picking college starters. Let's go with college backups now in the first round. And I really like this kid, and I think he's going to be good. And there's not a lot of tread on the tires, so I think it's going to work.
Think about this in Seattle. They traded away DK Metcalf.
By the way, I have no actual knowledge of Leo or Brad Pitt. These guys actually doing that. I just think in their mind they've probably considered it because they're so bored with just straight women.
So
that conquered all.
Last year they traded
Just to
DK
see.
Metcalf. They picked up a second round pick by trading away DK Metcalf. They traded away Geno Smith. They picked up an extra third-round pick. They traded with the Titans, one of their second-round picks, one of their third-round picks, to move up to 35 last year. Do you know who they took?
I don't remember.
Nicky Manwari.
Okay.
So Schneider's out-of-the-box thinking. Like, he's always thinking a couple steps ahead. That doesn't mean he won't make mistakes. He will. But he has earned the benefit of the doubt with me. Whereas, like, Jerry Jones hiring a coach has not.
Has Joe Rexroad or Paul Koharski told you
No.
you were right about Diana Rossini and Mike Vrabel?
No.
Or even admitted, maybe you were premature on it, but now we know that what you were saying, there was some legitimacy to it.
No, the local national media that for years I felt like I was...
This astonishes me, by the way. You're like, just say it and get it over with. Like, yeah, okay, you were right.
For years I was hinting at the idea that Vrabel and Rossini were having an affair. Did I have actual proof that Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini were having an affair? No. But my spidey sense just picked up on it. And so I hinted at it. We made jokes about it. And it all really came to a head the night of the 2023 draft when, as Charles Robinson at Yahoo reported, Houston had Will Anderson number 1 on their board and they wanted C.J. Stroud. They had 2 picks within the top 12. Their goal was to get both players. Arizona at 3 had Anderson as the top player on their board. So Houston was going to take Anderson at 2, and then they were going to trade back with Seattle at 5 to take Stroud. Tennessee was going to trade with Arizona at 3 to take Stroud, and somehow Diana Rossini
had that
the report. Diana Rossini had actually said the week before she was supposed to be in Indianapolis, who had the 4th pick in the draft. But when it was time for the draft, she was in Tennessee. Kimberly Martin was in Indianapolis. And she had this report that Tennessee was trying to move up to number 3 to take C.J. Stroud. Houston catches wind of it. They decided to take Stroud and then make the mega offer to get up to 3 to take Anderson. That was when I was like, okay, now this alleged affair that I believe they're having has now cost the Titans a quarterback. And a lot of people in hindsight are like, well, C.J. Stroud's not that good. So to me, that's irrelevant. If as an organization you've decided that guy is our future franchise quarterback, we are going to do whatever it takes to get him, the way Andy Reid felt about Patrick Mahomes, and your girlfriend, your mistress, ends up blowing that for the entire organization, you should be fired on the spot. That should be investigated. That should be, and instead everybody was like, oh, I don't know if it was Diana that let the cat out of the bag. Maybe it was Arizona that let the cat out of the bag. I'm like, she's on TV.
So now, following up on all this, that what we know now, him with the Patriots, should he be in trouble with his job? Will he be in trouble with his job? Because when they announced that counseling session on Saturday of the draft, that was the first time I allowed my mind to go to a place where he may not be okay.
Yeah.
he may end up losing his job after all this because there's more to come.
Well,
and we knew then that he had been shown the photos that they were going to drop that day.
Man, I think
I'm just asking the question. I don't
I
know.
know. I think if he were in trouble now, he wouldn't be at the draft for Thursday and Friday. If it's important to be away for counseling, like if the more things come out, yes. I mean,
Which with the press conference, basically he's going to be with his family. It's not really counseling. I need to be there for my family, right,
but-
Jared? Wasn't that what he said? What did he say in the press conference?
It was very, very odd. It was
the press
about
conference was awful.
prioritizing his family, but knowing that the team was in good hands.
And I'll
doing
take
what was
calls
best
from the
for
team
him
when
and
I'm
his
needed,
team,
he said
and-
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you ask me, is he in trouble? Is he in danger of losing his job right now? I don't think so. You never know what else could come out because it feels like there's always something more.
Well, and
he
he has an owner who's trying to bury the story. They're trying to get the story to go away.
I do think they're trying to bury the story, but I don't believe that Robert Kraft tried to kill the story. I don't believe
he has
that.
experience doing that.
I know, but if Robert
The
Kraft,
Patriots did come out and say, we deny the reports that we hired a crisis management team. Right? They did say, like, they refuted that report that they were, like, in cahoots on a crisis
Right.
management thing.
They
said,
may need to
didn't do
hire
that.
one because they already have one because of organization.
Yeah, well, they didn't work with one, is what they said.
Okay.
That's what they claim.
I'm not.
They
trying
didn't
to
say
necessarily
that
believe
Kraft
that.
didn't try to do something personally.
Right.
They said we as an organization didn't do anything.
So when you say is he in trouble, I would say, in terms of losing his job, probably not. I mean, the way I look at it is, I'm like, a reporter is supposed to be an unbiased explainer of the facts.
We
right?
know her ramifications. She's
Right.
done as an NFL insider.
Right. The idea that they're on same footing is ridiculous.
No.
His job is to win football games. He's good at that. I do think he's in trouble from this standpoint. We all think of athletes. For me, it's because I grew up a huge Atlanta Braves fan. Steve Avery in the 90s. He was as good as Tom Glavine. He was as good as John
Braves are red
Smoltz.
hot, by the way. Red hot right now.
Well, do you remember Steve Avery injured his shoulder?
Oh,
and
yeah.
It was never the same. Javon Curse broke his foot with the Titans.
Never the same.
He was on his way to the Hall of Fame. Never the same. I do not think Mike Vrabel can ever be the same after this, because part of what makes him such a good coach is that arrogance, that cockiness, that smugness, that holding people accountable
And it
while being
permeates
holier
his
than
teams
thou.
and his players who act like him.
And people believe
Which is a
in
good
it.
thing.
And now, I don't know that people are going to listen to him the same way because they're going to look at him and see the scandal. And I don't know if he is going to be able to be as cocky or arrogant with in the back of his mind being like, I'm the guy.
Yeah,
who-"
but I mean, I was going to say, guys, people bounce back from scandals all the time. There's an NFL player who had 4 kids within the last calendar year.
Yeah.
You know,
but
like,
nobody
but it's different
cares
because nobody's
about
got to
that.
listen to that player.
Well-
I think he's saying because you are the leader and your whole shtick, which has worked and been a positive, helps the locker room, but now are they going to continue to listen to him? I think they probably will. I don't know that he's going to lose the respect of his locker room over this.
So I want to know what else is to come here, because I think if they wanted to really just capitalize on this, Diana Rossini starts a podcast and her first guest is Mike Vrabel.
Well, okay, what if they end up...
But they're not doing that.
Let me take it this a step further. What if they end up together? What if they both leave their spouses and
Well-
they're in love, and Diana Rossini and Mike Vrabel, does that change the story for
So
people?
what you've hit on is why this is such a big story.
Is that now different? She's no longer working in the NFL, and they end up together? Because a lot of people have speculated about that may be something to come.
So what you've hit on is why this is such a big story. It's not so much about the affair as much as it is about the secrecy, the denial, the embarrassment
arrogance.
of being proven wrong.
Also, the audacity of the son's name.
if
The
I,
whole thing is just wild.
that's
The audacity
so
of
screwed up.
both.
The fact that her son's name is Michael.
And that
is
she posted
wild.
that about NFL coaches named Michael to play and coach.
I believe if Mike Vrabel wants to get back to, really trying to be Mike Vrabel again, and he'll never do this. Just like he'll never truly get up there and say, I did it. He can't do it. He needs to come on a show just like this one, sit right here, and he needs to own up to everything. He needs to be incredibly transparent. He needs to go somewhere that's not a safe space. He needs to go somewhere where he's going to be pressed, where it's going to be, Mike, why did you lie to the New York Post? And then he's got to say, I lied because I was scared. Because I was scared of the truth coming out. I was scared of what it would do to my family. I was scared of what it would do to me. I care about Diana. I was scared about what it would do to her. So I lied about it. and I that was my first big mistake, something like that.
But isn't that PR 101 is to deny? Because the photos that are coming out now are 6 years old.
Yeah.
They've been getting away with it for 6 years with photographs out there, and now all of a sudden everything's coming out.
He's been
right?
he's been the appropriate amount of vague in what he said. Hey, I take accountability for bad decisions I've made, and I did not live up to my own standard. I didn't. He said, but he's never going to lay it out for you.
Well, that's
and say,
what he
okay,
needs to
here's
do.
what I did specifically.
That's what he needs to do, or else it won't go away. It will stay out there as a what's next.
Now, does
What
it
else
matter,
are you
though, if
not
it doesn't
telling
go away
us?
with us? Because you hit on something before. If it doesn't go away with his players in the respect factor in the locker room, that's different than us. Like, we could talk about this forever, and it may not affect him or his team.
Sure.
Right? It's about what the players think and his coaches think and his boss thinks.
Right.
Which his boss, he's got the perfect boss for this.
Yes.
Of coming back from scandal.
I just don't think he's as intimidating as he was before. I felt like when he was the coach here in Nashville, he intimidated the local media to a certain extent. For me, it never really bothered me because I never was intimidated by Vrabel because what's Vrabel going to do? Is he going to slug me? Of course he's not. And he and I used to get into it all the time. But I thought it was very apparent. His last press conference he did as coach of the Titans was after their last game they beat Jacksonville. And there were reports out there that he was on the hot seat. Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport, Diana Rossini, all were reporting that Vrabel was on the hot seat. And the entire local press crew, after the Jacksonville game, did not ask him about those reports. And I think it's because they won the game, and they didn't want to get talked down to by Vrabel.
And they didn't want to get yelled at by their own fans.
Yes. And
Like Titans fans, they would have been mad about it.
I think that intimidation factor that Vrabel has over people is gone.
Here's the thing that I think where media is lacking and where they're a big part of their own problem. I saw the first take bit where we really didn't want to talk about this, but now we're being forced to talk about it because Vrabel held a press conference.
Well, because Vrabel still intimidates them.
Or we're doing this, or
That's
we're doing
why.
that. But the media's inability to discuss something that might make a media member or media in general look bad is a big part of the reason that people don't trust the media because
That's true.
it's selective covering. We're going to selectively talk about this because it's going to make somebody else look bad, not us. But the moment you can shine a light on and be transparent and say, well, this is just something that needs to be talked about from a journalistic standpoint with Diana Rossini, who may be our friend, for a lot of people. I don't want to touch. I can't believe we're having to talk about this tawdry mess. Where they would rush to talk about the tawdry mess if it didn't involve a media member.
Oh, ESPN was showing the Coldplay couple.
Yeah.
And
on first take.
when media wants to get all high and mighty and act like, well, if you don't trust media, you're not trusting this sanctified source. This is one of the reasons why.
I'll be honest, though.
They won't trust
I
media.
trust Diana Rossini with the Mike Vrabel report.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she can still be the insider. Like,
Yeah, we
we
know it's true.
At least from Vrabel's side.
Yes.
Right. You're right. One thing, I think that there is a video, or like the kid is Vrabel's kid.
Do you think there is a black swan in all of this that we don't know about that is going
Vrabel's
to come
talking
down?
way too much, and every time he speaks, something else is leaked. Photos from 2020. All these Rossini getting off social media, all these different things. Like he would come out and say everything, but I think there's a fear that you don't know what is the next thing that's going to drop.
Sure.
And if you're out with again, how many countless times have they hung out together? I mean, so if you're going to, if I'm him, I'm thinking I don't know when I was photographed.
Yeah.
So and what's the next thing that's going to drop?
I haven't heard people discuss this.
And it took a while to see the kiss. It took a while for a photo to come out with a kiss.
Right.
The next step is a video.
So there are two things that
They really skirted those COVID protocols, too.
Well, that was pre-COVID.
Was it?
Yeah, it was March 11th, and I think the world shut down on the 14th.
Oh, I thought it was
But-
like March 20-something. Okay, that makes more sense.
But a bar in New York City at the
Yeah.
beginning of COVID, there's no way you could have gotten into a bar
That's
in New York
exactly
City.
what I was thinking. I was like, how did they get in there? This must be a very exclusive bar.
Was
So-
the photograph? The photo. It looks like someone was on their knees taking a photograph of
Well,
it.
it looked
Outside of
like
the bar.
somebody
They
was
were
like
outside
sitting.
of
Okay.
the bar, maybe
Somebody
through
was
a
like
window.
sitting like in the chair area, and they
Or,
were
yeah,
at the
in a
bar
booth,
area.
maybe, yeah.
But here's
Been followed for a while.
there's two things about these pictures that nobody's talking about that I can't get out of my head. First, are we led to believe these were just iPhone pictures where somebody just said, oh my God, that's Mike Vrabel from the Titans. Let's take
No, there's no way.
15 pictures that are all snap, 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 snap. Let's sit on it for 6 years,
They could
and then
be.
let's have the exact details ready for the New York Post. Because the New York Post said, our eyewitness said they were there together at the bar. Can you remember all of those details from 6 years ago?
There's a file.
And just sit on it? I'm trying to figure out, okay, again, when I see the Rossini Vrabel pictures that have made it to the New York Post, I was told by somebody close to Diana it was a PI that was hired by
had to be.
Diana's husband.
Was this PI working for 6 years on this case?
I don't know. But all of these photos look like what I've seen in like FBI and CIA movies where they have the guy with the camera and it's just
Yeah, from a
I
rooftop
agree with
balcony
you.
Right.
zoomed in.
Well,
and
I mean-
it's all like 18 photos at one time.
Well, if it's a private resort in Sedona, I mean, the first photos to leak from this private resort is Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini. That's why it's not some housekeeper. This absolutely was PI, because otherwise, there's a juicier love story than this one that would happen previous to
Let me
this
play
past
devil's
month.
advocate. I think the first one was probably a hit in some way of someone taking those photos that may have been hired. I think the one from 6 years ago was someone who saw this story break and said, oh, remember the night we were out and took a bunch of photos because I saw Mike Vrabel with Diana Rossini and we thought that was funny. And now it's chum in the water.
They took
So anyone else who's
9
ever taken a photo that's a fan of Mike Vrabel in a compromising position could now be shopping that photo to the New York Post. A lot of people could be coming out of the woodwork right now, and there could be multiple photographers
And I think that's
that
what
are getting
happened.
paid in this.
The TMZ story that dropped yesterday of them at the casino together.
Right.
I think that is
Well,
somebody
I
that
bet
came
we
out
all
of the
have a
woodwork.
funny photo of someone that's famous
But do
that
we
we
have
saw
9
out
of
or
them?
something that like, oh, well, now this really ties together, and now we're going to do it. I see people all the time that will do that rapid flash on a photo just to get as many as possible of someone doing it. So I'm not doing it. I'm just telling you that it's possible that it could just be some random fan.
Well, which one do you think it is?
I think the first photos that surfaced from Ambient was someone paid to get the photos, a professional job. I think the New York Post one, the latest ones in the New York bar, I think it's somebody that saw the Vrabel
Just some
Rossini
fan.
story and said, hey, I got photos for you too. And they went to the New York Post and said, I'll sell you these.
I think Ryan Glass.
I think there could be more out there from multiple people that have photographed them together too.
So I don't know how well you guys know Ryan Glass-Steagall, Front Office Sports. I really like him. I think he's a really good reporter. I think he's a really good guy. He reported that somebody shopped those photos to TMZ asking for 4 figures.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody has taken that to mean like it was some amateur that didn't know it was Diana that said, hey, I have Vrabel pictures. And then TMZ realized it was Rossini. I think that's somebody playing dumb who asked for 4 figures because they wanted to make sure the pictures got out no matter what. Instead of asking for 50 grand or 500
well,
grand,
yeah.
you ask for 5 grand. What's
And it-
5 grand to TMZ?
Yeah.
And it's how you make it go public in a huge story in a slow draft year if you want to screw 2 people over.
And
I mean,
the story dropped on Tuesday.
yeah.
And the New York Post, or no, it was the ESPN story. The ESPN hid, by the way. The Ben Strauss story at ESPN said that they talked to Rossini on Sunday, and they didn't release it until Tuesday, which is not the norm. And I'm like, they didn't release it on Tuesday because Monday was the national championship game.
Yeah.
Now, my final thought on this. Robert Kraft is absolutely killing this story. That's why ESPN didn't run it. ESPN's getting their first Super Bowl ever. They'll be having that on the broadcast. Robert Kraft chairs the committee for the television rights for the NFL. He can have Netflix not make fun of him. That's Robert Kraft. He's actively trying to kill the story. I mean, are we shocked that the New England Patriots would lie to us about we didn't hire a firm? Of course they did.
This is what they do.
It's what they do.
So here's where I'd argue this. Who owns the New York Post?
It's Rupert Murdoch.
Yeah,
Who
Rupert
owns this company?
Rupert
Rupert
Murdoch,
Murdoch.
yeah.
Who owns Fox?
Yeah.
Rupert Murdoch.
Right.
So we all know about the story about Playmakers in 2003.
Yeah.
Sure.
Great television show. The NFL hated it because it portrayed football in a bad light. And they really punished ESPN and ABC with
Yeah.
a terrible slate of Monday Night Football games.
Yeah.
I believe that if Kraft really wanted to kill the story,
You go through Fox.
he would call Rupert directly. How many people, you guys work for Rupert, Do you have Rupert's phone number?
They have been.
The only one I
we
know
know
with
someone
Rupert's
who
phone
does.
number is Clay.
I think there's
That's
like
the only one that I know that has it in
10
his phone.
people that have Rupert
Well-
on speed dial, and Kraft's one of them.
Absolutely.
So if Kraft
Probably more
wanted
Lachlan
to
for
kill
Clay,
the
too, not even
story,
Rupert.
I think it's Lachlan for Clay.
Yeah.
Rupert, I think Robert goes through Rupert. If he said, hey, your 325 game of the week is going to be the Carolina Panthers every week, would that have killed the story? I don't know. So I think ESPN is afraid just because of what happened 25 years ago with Playmakers.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't think the NFL cares about
They
this.
did report on it, but you're right. They didn't send it out from their main accounts, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
And one final thing here. If it was a money grab by the photographer, Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini would have paid a hell of a lot more for him to not be
Oh, yeah.
published.
No, hang on.
You want $1 million?
We don't
Go to
know
them
what
and say,
else has been
I'll bury
offered
all this
to
right
buy.
now. Yeah.
We don't know what else is for sale right now.
Right.
And neither does Mike Vrabel, because he's
He may be having to move some funds over right
I don't
now,
know.
too, this weekend.
You know,
He's got a Swiss bank account somewhere that's got the 1.7.
we went
He's
from
going to pay for the next
we
one.
went from the New York Times and the Athletic backing Rossini to now she's off socials.
Yeah, she deleted her accounts the moment he went live on
Yes.
his press
Well,
conference.
that's only because Diana Rossini has left a complete and total mountain of evidence that shows that she,
I
A,
know.
hates her husband, and B,
Well-
loves Mike Vrabel.
Yeah.
And
And hey, that Shake Shack money
maybe,
spins.
maybe there's just something else that otherwise they just have her do a podcast with him. Have her go and bust him with the boys.
I mean, at this point, I think all that's left for Diana to do is to pick up where OJ left off in the search for the real killers.
She should hold a presser.
Because at this
OnlyFans
point,
page.
well, no. I have actually argued.
She'd make a
you're-
hell of a lot of money.
Oh, anywhere.
You're going to think this is a joke. If I was the CEO of OnlyFans, I would be reaching out to Diana, and I would be offering her a fortune to become the lead NFL insider for OnlyFans. Now, you're probably going to hear that and think that that means I'm saying Diana should do porn. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that her podcasts,
what I'm
her
saying.
reports, that should go to OnlyFans. OnlyFans wants people to believe that it
Yep.
is created content for whatever
fan.
you want it to be.
For OnlyFans.
Right, not just porn. Now, everybody
You're saying this
knows
would give them, in a weird way, credibility.
it would be their way of saying we're not just porn.
Right.
And so
We're football.
I would do that with Diana. Now, the problem is I would have done it yesterday because the draft would have been the time that I want Diana's.
The problem is,
Insight.
you say we're not just porn. They're not offering Mike Reese the same deal if he's sleeping with the owner of a team or
No.
something, right?
No.
So
If
there's
Adam-
also
yeah.
That's
there's
like
also
Jamel
a
Hill
reason,
saying-
If Adam
there's also a
Schefter is
reason
banging the Colts owner,
we're
it's
taking
different.
Diana Rossini, who we saw in a bikini, at the resort, to OnlyFans is that reason too.
Well, that's like Jamel Hill saying we don't talk about the male insiders. And I would just say this. If we had a man insider, whether it's Albert Breer or Jay Glazer or Adam Schefter, having an affair with an NFL coach,
It's
you
all we
bet
talk
I'd
about.
talk about it.
It's all we would talk about. It would shut down everything for months.
It would be the #1 story in the world.
Yes.
If we found out something like that.
Of course.
So it's a massive story, and I think this again proves the power of the NFL is just how much people care more about a famous coach, which Vrabel is, and a famous reporter, which Diana is, having an affair at her Twitter account than they do the entire NBA and NHL playoffs combined.
Unless there's an affair.
Hey, what you got going on tonight? Thanks for swinging by the way.
Hutton's going to swing by over at the
Nice.
Stillman & Company Studios, 5:30 Central Time. We're going to have a draft night. We're going to it'll be like a little live stream, just watch draft.
A little
talk.
OnlyFans.
A lot of
It'll be
players
like
we
your
don't
only,
know.
It'll
We
be like
should-
your only OnlyFans. It's the start of your OnlyFans career.
You know what?
together.
I should be the first guy to go to OnlyFans to
Tarps
say no.
on or off for
I'm
you guys
going
tonight.
here to
Pants
prove
optional.
that
Tarps
OnlyFans is
optional.
not just porn.
Gotcha. Tarps and pants optional?
Pads optional, sure.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Hey, good to see you, man.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Appreciate you, man.
Always
Jared
good to be here.
Stillman & Company, and it's at Jared Stillman on socials, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Everyone, enjoy the draft.
We're going to go listen to some 90s country
Thanks
now.
to
Behind
the
us.
great crew setup. It's fantastic here, 6 at Peabody. Chad's going to go take care of some cornhole games back here.
That, and I'm going to go give this guy a huge tip for the songs he's
Yeah.
playing right now. It's perfect.
It's Monday.